Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Hump Day, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ladies Night. And I'm feeling right. Hey, I have a little unofficial guest star here, Miss Sinai. Say hi, everyone. Tell them why you're so fussy. Tell everybody Happy Women's History Month. Yes. Nothing but the best. We do nothing but the best about women, aren't we? Yes. You're going to be a legacy. You pass on all the good stuff women have done in your life. You're going to be a trailblazer. Yes. You ready to be an athlete? Talk about some different sports you're interested in? Yeah. She got quiet when she got on camera. I have to do it more often. Anyway, my name is Bunny. If you don't know, I am your girl, and this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. Also, we have wonderful, wonderful, wonderful panel of ladies as always. If you're not already sharing, like or subscribe, please do that. We are on Facebook, of course, and we are on YouTube. So subscribe, click on that, my imaginary bell, and we have all our recordings also on Roku. So shout out. Also, even though this is ladies' night, the Platform Sports Talk Show is doing things a little different as far as other panels, such as the Man Cave, which is on the last Wednesdays of every month starting this month. So shout out to the fellas. They will be bringing on their different ideas, topics, and things to talk about. So tune in to them on the last Wednesdays of the month, and you have ladies' night on the first Wednesday of the month. And in between time, shout out to our host with the most, DJ Smoooth. Also, standing wherever he may be. And last but not least, let's bring our ladies on. Let's bring Miss Jobo. She's the one who knows it all, from Blues to Cardinals, anything in between with softball, right?
Yeah, and sadly, we will have to talk about baseball today, or the lack thereof. But
Yes.
Yeah, and I got this in handy for the show tonight. Talk about some baseball. So
every time you just think about, oh, they may be somewhere, they may not be. Oh, they're gonna be.
we'll obviously get into it more in depth later on. But I will say, I never got my hopes up. What was it, Monday night? Whenever everyone's all giddy on Twitter, like nothing happened. Everyone got excited when Bob Nightingale tweeted something. No, you never listen to Bob Nightingale or John Heyman. Listen to Jeff Passan, and that guy never tweeted anything. So that's why I never got my hopes up.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and also our other wonderful guests, not guests, but panelists, the number one Cowboys fan who always believes that they'll do something even every year when they won't do anything, Miss Annie. Miss Annie, what's going on?
Hey, everybody.
What kind of hat we rocking today?
Yeah, what we rocking
We've got
today?
Seattle Sounders tonight, so we're rocking my favorite MLS team, which is the Sounders FC. And even though we made an early exit from the playoffs last year, I have confidence that we'll take the cup this year.
Gotcha.
Well, I hope they do that for you until St. Louis gets going.
Oh, boo. Ain't nobody worried about no St. Louis.
The nerve. See, even Sanaa didn't agree with that. Okay,
Look,
she's like,
Sanaa needs to learn
don't come for
early.
her city. Mm-mm.
Learn early, Sanaa.
Yeah.
Just because you were born there, don't mean that got to be your team. A la Annie being from Pittsburgh and hating the Steelers.
But you claim one of your Pittsburgh team because you are a Pirates fan.
I
Unfortunately,
am. I'm a
can't
Pirates and a Penguins fan, but I just hate the Steelers.
I'm not even gonna knock the Pirates. I can't knock any team, but there's no baseball right now to dog them out yet. So, without further ado, one of our hottest
Look,
topics.
the longer they don't play, the longer we are not losers. So I'm happy for every day of the MLB lockout because it means there's still hope that we can win the pennant. Every day during the lockout.
Why you shaking your head, Joe?
Well, with how the owners want to run things, the Pirates might have a chance to win because they want 14 teams in the freaking playoffs, and that's a joke. So if they're just okay and average, they have a chance to make the playoffs and possibly win the whole damn thing. Or as Manfred calls it, a piece of metal. Hello, Miss Williams. Happy Wednesday.
Hey, Miss Williams.
Hey, Miss Williams. Yeah, so I'm happy for the lockout because every day there's a lockout is every day that the Pirates have hope. So go ahead, chill, keep talking.
It's teams like the Pirates that are the quote unquote cheap, lower market teams, billionaires that are the ones that are holding everything up. So yeah, it's depressing. We could talk all kinds of stuff. It's we knew it was gonna happen, and I'm still depressed about it. Like yesterday felt like a freaking family member passed away or something. Like it's ridiculous.
Oh. Well, tell the owners to get right, and then we can get back to baseball.
Well, this is the thing. It's the owners, I'm pretty positive, and everyone's talking about it. They have a set date in their heads. Like they knew they're gonna cancel games.
Mhm.
You know, like even before the lockout happened that the owners imposed is apparently an agent said like, happy holidays and we'll see you on Flag Day.
So real quickly, Joe, can you break it down to us? What are the quick 3 points? What are the issues here? I keep hearing so many different things. What are the biggest three issues that they're having?
I'd have to pull it up, but there's a couple of them. One is a big one is just the CBT, like is the CBT. So like that they will also want to be able to pay younger athletes more money. Arbitration's a big thing. The owners now want 14 teams in the playoffs. The players saying we'll go up 2 teams and we'll do 12. That's the most we can do. Those are like the bigger things right there. But this is.
Well, I think some of the bigger things from the labor side of it is that the labor side wants to do the amount of years that counts towards their seniority to go down to 5. It's currently 6, which that provides incentive for major league teams to keep them down in the minor leagues for extra years, because then it doesn't count against their service time. And then when they finally bring them up to the big leagues, then people are getting fewer years to prove themselves and to demonstrate that they earn the big contracts that they're looking for, because then they can say, yeah, you've been great for like the last 3 years, but you spent 3 years like in our minor league team and not playing for our major league team. And then by that time they get to the end of that initial contract, the player is about 30. Also, it's about, for the labor side, revenue sharing. The money has gone up. Baseball makes more money than ever. But the revenue share that goes to the players has not increased at the same rate as revenues. And so, yeah, they just basically want to be compensated as though they are the most important part of what continues to make these owners money off of these teams.
Yeah, what Miss Williams is saying. Yeah, sorry. What Miss Williams is saying, that's definitely one thing that everyone's saying as well is, the owners, they're perfectly fine with canceling, the April games, because there's people, like Pittsburgh, Detroit, and even St. Louis, there's a lot of games that it's freezing, it's cold, not everyone's there. And so they're totally fine with losing a couple $1 million, if that's what you want to call it, for April, and then just try to get the season started in May, June, July. So yeah, that's one of the things that's definitely happening. with what you were talking about with service time. The most recent that a lot of people go to is Chris Bryant when he's with the Cubs. You know, like early 2015, everyone's like, they're ready. All of Chicago was ready for him to come up. Everyone knew he was going to be one of the best players to come up, you know, in a long time. And they just sat him down in Iowa until he could come up and, you know, work for the Cubs, you know, like with the owners. Still won Rookie of the Year and all that stuff, but he could have played an extra month or so and proved himself a little bit more and possibly gotten more money later on.
Wow. Okay. That was actually in depth. Thank you.
But I think everybody is fine with them canceling April games. Baseball was always intended to be a summer sport. And the only reason why opening day is as early as it is because they kept adding on games so that they could add on more money. But the thing is that people do not want to go to, there's 162 games and 81 of them are at home. No one wants to go to 81 3-hour events.
It's some people out there. Joe would do it. I was about to say,
yeah,
people like Joe would do that, and the older generation people.
Don't even be saying the older people would only do that. There's kids out there that would love to go to.
It is, but look at
half
the
of 81 games.
There's not enough of them.
It's not what I'm saying. There's people out there. It's not enough, and that's why I say I always look at the numbers. That's why Manfred and the powers of be should be slap, punch, kick, whatever. If you're already talking about how baseball was declining in attendance pre-pandemic, you're always talking about speeding up the game, and then you're going to let a lockout happen, like this is going to help your situation. Now, when the last lockout happened in 94, I wasn't even watching baseball yet. And I heard that did a little something to the game. And eventually came back with the home run race of 98. However, St. Louis is a great baseball town. Like, we are the best. Cardinals fans rock. Everybody doesn't have that. And so if you're still trying to get a decent base, why would you let the lockout go this far? Number one. Number two, people can say they're rich, all of them, between the players and the owners. Yes, they're in general are rich, but there's still principles. And you should not sit here and let labor contracts issues hold your season from starting. Now, granted, I don't agree with baseball being in April per se. However, I know it's about so many games because it equates more money. And let's fast forward back to what you said earlier, Joe, with the playoffs, too many teams in it. Yeah, it does devalue playoffs if it's too many teams. However, that equates to what? More money. And baseball was actually late compared to the other professional sports. How they do the playoffs
about that though, with the whole 14 teams. Like, one of the main things the players have been wanting is they wanted a more competitive team mid-league. They want competition. Adding more teams to the playoffs, teams that won 70 games, that's not competition. That's ridiculous. You don't play 162 games to have half the league make it to the playoffs. That's a joke.
But the other thing that the labor side wants is to disincentivize tanking, and for there to be stiffer penalties when it is obvious that teams are just kind of throwing in the season. And so if you take away the incentive for people, because they're not, other than the Pirates, they're probably not trying to lose those many games at the start of the season, but by the time, because there's so many, by the time you get to like the halfway point, I mean, depending on how many teams are out in front and by how many games, like, you may realize that you have that it's more advantageous for your franchise, not necessarily for the team that's taking the field almost every day, but it's more advantageous for your franchise for you not to win games than it is for you to win games in order to get in the playoffs. And so people are making business decisions more about halfway through the season. By the time you get to the All-Star break, there are some teams like the Pirates who are like almost like mathematically eliminated by the time we get to that point.
There's about 8 of them that are like that.
And from a business perspective,
right? But if you disincentivize tanking, where these teams cannot just throw in the towel at the All-Star break, and they have to be incentivized to continue to play, then theoretically there will be better teams playing come playoff time. But that's I'm not a fan of basically letting your whole league in the playoffs, but it will incentivize at least teams to be playing better come playoff time if a third of your league is not in a position to just throw in the season halfway through.
But shouldn't you put that on the owners? That's not the players' fault. The owners make those decisions in the GM. But look at the Houston Astros. The one time I'm gonna actually give your other organization credit, Jobo. Did their tanking not pay off? They won a World Series.
Well, yeah,
Cheating or not.
the Astros
It
and the
paid off.
Cubbies did. The Cubs did. And that's what other teams are
It
trying
pays
to do.
off though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it pays
but-
off in
but
every
too.
professional league because of how you get new talent is incentivized by losing. Most teams use a draft or a lottery system that incentivizes losing. So the people who typically have the worst records get the best chance at the best
You're
talent.
getting rewarded for
year.
sucking, purposely sucking. You're getting rewarded.
Exactly.
It's
So
crap.
until we change draft systems and
Kind of like how hockey does it, honestly. They kind of have like the lower pool of teams, and it's like a lottery ball type thing. You know, that's pretty much how it happens. Miss Williams, I'm not sure who she was talking about when it comes to the coach. I don't know if she's talking about Jeter stepping down because the Marlins didn't want to spend more money. So I don't know if she wants to say, "Oh, Brian Flores." Okay, so we're talking about
so
football.
that's the NFL.
Yeah,
not the MLB.
I
But I mean,
say,
I'm sure baseball coaches are
NBA
incentivized
does
to
it too.
fail
I mean,
as
every
well.
organization you had
Every team's
somebody
gonna
that
do
thinks
it.
that way.
We talked about the whole money thing, you know, how it's like everyone says the whole billionaires versus millionaires thing. People got to remember, for one, Manfred like also cut like 20 minor league teams last year. It might have been more, 40 or something like that. But here's a tweet from a baseball player because some fan was saying that pretty much give me a break. You know, you guys are making millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. This guy said he signed for $5,000 in 2018, made $10,000 in 2019, less in 2020, and about $18,000 in AAA last year. We all make more than that.
Yeah, but even if
That's
we
ridiculous.
didn't,
That's
it's
nothing.
about the share, right? I mean, even baseball contracts in comparison to other sports are, you know, exponentially larger, right? Than male sports for sure. And then if you look at women's professional sports, then it's a joke. But the thing is that it's not about, okay, so millionaires or billionaires, it's about what people deserve. And so what they contribute to the revenue that the team brings in is disproportionate to the share of the pie of the money that they get. So instead of pocket watching and being like, oh, well, they already make more money than me, so that's why I'm going to be angry, realize that what you would want is that if you were the reason why your business was so successful, that you would want to make a greater percentage of the profit that you brought in.
But let me put this in perspective. That makes sense. And I'm agreeing with you. But we're going through this without sports. Look at, I don't know what company you work for, Annie or Jobo, so I'm not going to mention them. So let's just throw out American Airlines, right? So American Airlines CEO, all the airline CEOs make buku money, and they get even more from what? Profit sharing. That's literally where most CEOs, their bonuses, all that, that's where they make more money or stock options than their actual salary. And all those hard workers that help get those planes out every day, make sure they're fixed, don't crash, all that, may get a crumb of a bonus, maybe. They have unions too, and they want their fair share, right? Because you don't want to underpay somebody when you have to deal with a lot of stuff on the line here every day with people's lives, right? So why, again, let's go to baseball or any professional organization. The owners, everybody say they're greedy. They are. But why won't they want to share more with their pay, the people that's getting them all these profits? That's why I fought on Manfred not mandating this or somewhat fixing this. And then that's where the greed comes in. And you can say they get bonuses if they make the all-star team, if they make the playoffs. But what about the players that don't get to make the playoffs and they're good every year? Look at, what's his name for the Reds? What's the player for the Reds? He's been with them since they were horrible for years and years. All-star. Votto, thank you. Let somebody like him. Votto's been putting in his work faithfully. And yes, he does have a nice contract, but he's been on teams that suck year after year after year after year. So he can't earn a bonus going to playoffs because his team is not doing well. But if they would offer other players on the roster with him that's been there for years some extra money, they should. I mean, they're helping them to have fans in the stands. Even if the Reds aren't as good up until recently, Nobody come out to see them. That's not the player's fault necessarily if they're good or even all-star caliber player. I just think if you take this outside of baseball on regular corporations and corporate America, the top always make the most money and most of the time do the least amount of work. The lower man makes the least amount of money and does more work. And just kind of meet it in the middle. I mean, we know we're in a capitalist country, capitalist society, but just make it fair. I know people thinking players are already rich. Every player on the roster of a Major League Baseball roster is not rich. They're not even barely at six figures. Of course, taxes and all that. Now, I know we see the $1 million salaries for some of them, but that's not everybody. And like you mentioned earlier with the minor league systems, they should be slapped. The only reason they get away with not paying minor league players because of a law that a lobbyist helped get passed through U.S. Congress. It's some BS and it should be not even be valid, but it is. It's no logical sense. You just being cheap and keeping more money. They should be ashamed of themselves, honestly.
And if you see these pictures and videos and stuff of how minor league players are treated, it's like we're living like royalty here at the Boa house when it comes to some of those minor leaguers. But I asked Fred last minute to show us some pictures of Manfred. And Fred, I would like for you to show one of them. Here's Manfred before telling the world that he was going to cancel baseball games. The lockout was going to keep going, practicing his golf swing. Just chilling, relaxing. And then I have another photo for him to show. This was after he told fans all over the country that, guess what, we're going to be canceling baseball games, and he was devastated. What the hell is that? Look at this clown.
Smile, knowing like I'm still getting paid while y'all not. That's exactly what that is.
He said, I can't remember the exact quote, but he said whenever the lockout happened back in December that it pretty much would be a travesty to cancel any games. Mm-hmm. Guess what? The players put an offer in back in December, and the owners waited 3 months before they said anything back. And they asked him about that, and he was like, well, I don't have anything else to say other than we've been here for the last 10 days.
Mm-hmm. But they are, he's the commissioner. He's not the boss. And I think that's one of the things that gets confusing with major sports is like people are like, why doesn't Roger Goodell do anything about teams hiring coaches? He's not their boss.
Listen, he is the one
person.
He is the one that's handing that trophy off to the best team in the game at the end of the year.
He's the Ronald McDonald.
That is ridiculous. That is
Ronald McDonald.
He's the mascot. He's the Ronald McDonald of the league.
We all sit here and have these arguments, not us, but like people on social media have these arguments. Oh, Ohtani's the face of baseball. Tatis is Rob Manfred's the face of baseball, unfortunately, and that's just how it goes.
And that is really, really sad. No commissioner should be the face of your sport. I know you're making money off these owners. They pay,
but they're paid to be the face. They're not paid to be the face of the sport. They're paid to be the face of the owners, so that the owners, unless they choose to, can remain largely anonymous. Like most people wouldn't be able to name the owners of baseball teams or any professional franchise unless it's an owner who like wants to be known, like Jerry Jones, like Mark Cuban, right? Where they're like,
always have cameras in their faces. Yes.
So they invite that attention for other reasons, right? But for the most part, the owners want to remain anonymous. And so they pay someone to go out there and to take all the bullets for them. And that's what
Manfred ain't even taking bullets. He's dodging them and throwing bodies in front of the bullets.
But when you say they want to be anonymous, if you look at each city that has every city, if you're into the sport, you know who the owner is. It may not be on a national scale, but locally enough people know who the owners are. So,
they might know the names of the owners, but other than people who have really distinct faces, like you may know the Rooneys own the Steelers or whatever, but even the average person in Pittsburgh probably walks past a Rooney every day and doesn't necessarily know who they're walking past. For the most part, these are anonymous older white men whose company you wouldn't be in anyway because they're billionaires. They're not where you are. They're not doing what you do. They get to remain largely anonymous. make these decisions that impact people's lives, and the person who you know and get mad at is Manfred or Adam
But I get mad at
Colbert
Manfred
or
also because he
Roger
says
Goodell.
idiotic things constantly.
But he's saying
Constantly.
idiotic things that he's asked to say.
Maybe.
So if they
I'm not privy to the conversation.
to fire him.
Are you telling me that someone asked him to go on air and say that he thinks the World Series trophy is just a hunk of metal?
They probably didn't hand him that line, and they were probably like, "Bruh, you can't say that."
He was an idiot all by himself.
So worked up about it that they're gonna fire him about it. And I'm sure to those owners, it is just a hunk of metal.
It did. Okay, this is the big.
The thing is that for something like that, I'm sure that was said in an owners meeting. They all giggle about all these, middle class white people and poor brown people playing this long ass game for 8 months, and they was probably like, "Oh, they're playing over this hunk of metal, ha ha ha." And then Manfred went out here and said it in public, and he probably got a text that was like, "Bro, that was an inside joke. That was for our meeting room. That was not for you. It don't stick the landing out there the way it did when you said it in here, right?" So he just didn't know his audience, but he didn't say nothing they didn't agree with. He kept his job. If he was really out here living foul, they would fire him.
They're not going to fire him because he knows too many secrets, knows too many places where the bodies are hidden.
Nobody care about what secrets people. That's why they make
no. Wait. They can get rid of people who know. You talking about they don't know this? Hey, it's stuff out here that could put people to jail easily. Don't look.
And that's why you make billions of dollars, so you can pay those people off to walk quietly into that good night.
How many times you think? Okay, when the news stories hit us, when we see and hear, read all these news stories. You think those owners didn't already get wind of that and hiding people, hiding bodies, hiding lawyers, hiding paperwork to cover their tracks?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why they make billions of dollars, so they can do that. So they're not worried
about. But that's what I'm saying. He knows where the bodies are hidden,
and they know where to put his too, or they can pay him enough to keep quiet. I'm sure he has time. I'm sure that he has the no. I'm sure that every commissioner has the strongest NDA that you will ever experience in your entire life.
It works both sides, but the owners have more to lose than a commissioner. He's one person. When you have a whole organization that that are billion
violated NDA, whatever little bit he got to lose, they would take that and then some.
Man, again, it works both sides. If they have stuff on him, he has double on them. I mean, no organization. Look, human nature.
If that was the case, Bunny, most of these organizations would have toppled. Everybody has stuff to say. You got Brian Flores blowing the whistle on all this stuff happening in the NFL. And he's like, yo, if this happened to you, please stand up and say something. You got, what's his name? Hugh Jackson coming out. He's stumbling over, explaining his story, and nobody else coming out, even though everybody agrees that this has happened, that they have all these stories, everything. But you're not going to go up against these billionaires.
You can go against them, but what happens? What do you always end up hearing about? Settlement. Hence why with the Rams,
because you're not going to go up against them.
You can go against them, but they know he has to look. Brian Flores said he has, at this point. At Brian Flores' figure, at this point, he had nothing to lose. He still got offered a job, mind you, because I thought he was going to be blackballed. We talked about this last time. I thought he was going to be blackballed. Like, oh, he's never going to get able to work in that field. And he still was offered a job.
He is at least 5 or 6 demotions down from what he's.
It's still a job. I thought, again, blackball. I thought he was going to get the Kaepernick treatment. Here, hence Kaepernick. Kaepernick had stuff to sell on them, and what did they do? Settle. All right, that's
where they at now. Now the NFL, the NFL is as popular as ever.
I'm settling. I don't want this stuff to come out for a reason.
Now, that's not always the point of a settlement because they have NDAs. That's not always the point of a settlement. The point of the settlement is not necessarily to the benefit of the corporation. It's to the benefit of the plaintiff. The NFL has enough money to drag this out in court.
It's not dragging out. It's about stuff to come out. You can drag it out in court, but anytime you go to
stuff comes out and then nothing happens. All these emails.
He didn't want this stuff to go on the court with the Rams. Way too much.
The thing is that it has nothing to. They don't have to because you're not going to stop watching football. They do not care. Look at what happens.
They don't care.
Emails get linked.
That is
emails get linked from the Washington.
You can't tell me a billionaire does not care about his stuff going to court, and then he has to open up the books to show how much dollar for dollar he spends on stuff. Come on now.
No, they don't care.
If that's the
Because
case,
they're
why not
not one. They're not going to have to do it.
Disclose all their finances right now. Then
they're not going to have to do it. First of all,
that's what they were going to have to do in court. Hence, why I knew that Cronkite stuff was going to get settled. They're not Kraft.
They're not going to have to open just because unless someone is bringing a claim about their finances. They're not going to have to open their financial books.
Judge told
just
them,
because you go to court doesn't mean that. Two, don't think that they just got a singular checking account where it's just like, oh, show us your checking account and there's going to be checks that says $1 million to Fraudy McFraudster.
When you don't become a billionaire by being that dumb. All those settlements are not all those assets that's going under that corporation's name has to be revealed. I'm telling you,
the corporation's name. What are you talking about? Those other owners in the corporation's name.
Why do you think the other owners was pissed when they found out that Crockett's like, I'm gonna handle my legal bills, but y'all on your own? And then they were named in that lawsuit with St. Louis, and then they were gonna have to do the same thing. They didn't want that smoke. I'm telling you.
Nothing. What was it? Oh, sorry. Stop. Look, I already told y'all. I don't like when people pop up messages and stuff. It throws me. The point is that if you look at the Washington Commanders,
okay,
leaks got out. So what happened? Some low-level people in the organization got fired. They were forced to hire a woman in HR, and John Gruden lost his coaching job. John Gruden left in a huff and puff. Well, I'm going to share my email. I'm not the only racist in the NFL. I'm going to share my emails. We ain't heard from John Gruden since. Don't nobody care. A whole Super Bowl happened.
Did you know John Gruden got a lawsuit against the NFL, right?
You said what?
John Gruden has a lawsuit against the NFL.
And nobody cares. We had a whole Super Bowl.
You said nobody cares.
NFL.
It'll be back in the media cycle. I guarantee.
He's going to settle. They have NDAs for a reason.
If you just banking on NDAs, stuff wouldn't even be brought up into the media, let alone going to maybe a trial. Come on now, these NDAs ain't.
It doesn't go to a trial. First of all, they do have NDAs.
So then why the stuff still can be disclosed then if they do have NDAs? And it's not leaks either.
They get the NDAs in place when they know what people are going to say.
If Gruden said I got fired, mind you, the Gruden thing was funny because they were investigating the Commanders and only because, or the Washington football team at the time, and only because an email exchange came out while smoke came out on him. He had nothing to do with that investigation.
Exactly.
However, what is the NDA supposed to say? Hey, you can't talk about my NDA has to be signed before something's about to pop off. When they
or it can be signed, or if we decide to settle, then you sign an NDA.
But he has a law
that says that we're not going to talk about that. You're not allowed to answer questions about this. If you look about the incident that just happened with the Cowboys and the loss, what was brought by their cheerleaders because of the two incidents that happened with their longtime, somebody who knew where all the bodies were buried, quietly resigned. The team said not a word. He went off into that good night. And now the cheerleaders are not allowed to talk about it because they took a settlement and they signed NDAs as a result of getting that settlement.
You're talking about NDAs being signed after that stuff is brought out to light, and I want to sue you. And
yes.
See,
you can execute a legal agreement at any point. It's like a plea deal. Information has come out that has led to your arrest, but now you can take a plea deal. Correct. So that you can mitigate where we are at this point. That's what an NDA can do. You can sign them proactively like a prenup. You can do them after something happens.
Let me ask you this then. Let's go back to Flores, like I said with Gruden. So you think they signed in, mind you, they have active lawsuits. They're not settled yet. So you think they had signed an NDA as soon as they say, okay, I'll be your
No, I think that they will get to a point where they settle. And I think when they settle, that part of the settlement will be non-disclosure agreements. Which is why we don't hear about specific amounts that people settle for, and we don't really hear more about the details of it. So I think, and the thing is that when people settle, they're settling because it's in their best interest, not because of anything having to do. He declined the NDA when he was fired from Miami. That doesn't mean that he will decline an NDA if he continues to do this in court and then takes a settlement from each of the teams that he sued and from the NFL.
But look who offers the settlement. The owners, the organizations, and not the person that's complaining. That's what I'm talking about. That's why like back to Manfred. He knows where bodies are buried. And they were like, oh, well, you say he doesn't know enough. I'm telling you, it's more, he has less to lose. The commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, he's like, okay, y'all get rid of me, fine. But I know all stuff on y'all and then some. Again, everything doesn't come in the media circle.
And he ain't gonna do nothing.
Everybody's not signing NDAs because when you filed that lawsuit,
he ain't gonna do
NDAs
nothing
right there.
either. First of all, people may not sign NDAs because they may be held culpable in that too. So you don't know what meetings people are a part of. You don't know what people would knew. And then they might experience suits as a result of not reporting stuff. Because at the end of the day, these are still organizations that have more than 50 employees, which means that they are bound by Department of Labor laws and HR policies and EEOC and all of those things. And so even if they knew about stuff and didn't disclose it, they are opening themselves up, and they do not have the money to defend themselves in the same way that people who are billionaires
they don't have to defend themselves, these players or regular people like you and me?
They don't have the money to go up against somebody else who can drag it out in perpetuity. If you're a professional
player, you have a union. The union has powerful lawyers just like the owners do. Sorry.
They still do not have, they are paying for that attorney, first of all.
Yes, they pay not all of them.
That is the problem. That is the problem. They do not collectively have more money than these 32 people who own the teams. Okay, so they do not have the money to drag things out in perpetuity. But and again, that's why people take settlements. It's not because they didn't mean it. It's not
they have the money. You're right. I just said they don't want to do these. They do settlements because they don't want stuff to come out in court.
No, that is not why they do settlements.
Okay, if they have the money, they could have settled it. What is it? Everybody has a price, right? Right? Everybody has a price tag that you could offer them for. They'd be like, okay, fine. Some people like it. Brian Flores said, I don't want your India. I don't need the money.
It's not about a price to not say anything. That's not what a settlement is about. I feel like that's why this conversation keeps going in circles. I think that you're using, people take settlements because they can be paid to be quiet. And that's not what I'm saying people take settlements for. I'm saying people take settlements because they financially can no longer afford to keep going to court. This is not free. You do not have time to do this. They have billions of dollars to spend on these fees, to hire staff people to just literally keep running copies of menus from local restaurants to add them to boxes of Discovery, that you do not have the money to pay staff to go through each of those in the hopes that you will find the one piece of paper that says, yes, I offered Brian Flores $1 million if he would take so we could get Tom Brady. They literally cannot afford to continue. This is why people take settlements. It's not because their morals have a price. It's because they will have literally nothing. They do not have the financial resources, the time, the staff to continue in perpetuity with the people who they are going up against. That includes a single coach against the NFL and 30 owners. That includes individual players. That includes cleaners like Jerry Jones, man, who just, again, walked away quietly into this good night. It includes cheerleaders. It includes whoever in this space. They do not have the money to continue pursuit of legal action. And that is why they take settlements. It has nothing to do with their price.
Right. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. And speaking of another organization,
we can agree to disagree. We can't agree that we have equivalent opinions when one of us has worked in the criminal justice system for 15 years and is currently an HR employee and deals with a labor union. That's all.
Congratulations.
Well, we were talking about
a person on this, but like I said, we'll agree to disagree. So
we can agree to disagree. I just don't want it to be we agree that it's equivalent.
That's a disagreement. I just agree to disagree. So another organization that's on the hot spots was, speaking of
before we move on, I would just like to say, because we were talking about baseball and we just went on a big old rant about other stuff. Mike Trout spoke out, the real face of baseball, and all the big name players in the league were saying, he's the king and the GOAT. So in case anyone forgot about that, Mike Trout's the best, and we can move on. That's it.
I could not pick Mike Trout out of a lineup, so he may be the face of baseball, but he has the most anonymous face.
Well, you don't care about baseball, so I don't know why you're saying that.
I mean, they try to market him here and there.
I sure don't. If you look at a lot of people. That's why y'all ain't playing no games.
I don't know who's that on Mike.
Ain't nobody taking to the streets about it.
I don't know who it's on. Maybe in California because that's where he's out of, and that's a big market in itself. that they do more on that coast compared to the Midwest. But compared to other athletes in other sports, he's not marketed enough to me. But hey, it is what
Obviously,
it
that's
is.
part of their problem. But all right, let's talk on what's the next thing we got
New
on our
York
show.
Liberty, another organization. So they got fined by the WNBA. So New York Liberty was chartering planes for their players. What is it, 2021? And that was a big no-no against the league. When I first heard that, I'm like, what's the issue? Why you can't charter planes, instead of just putting them on a commercial flight? They put them on charter planes to go to their games, right? And the reason that's a big no-no, because it makes it a not competitive, sorry. It's a disadvantage against other franchises. That was initially talked about at one time, and it's like, no, don't do that. And WNBA owners, I don't know, their husband and wife or brother sister, the size TSAI said we're gonna do it, and then they just got smacked on the wrist with a little fine. However, that fine amount for WNBA or any women's league is a lot, $500K, right? So,
Yeah.
I didn't think it's a big idea, but when they talk about because of the disadvantage with other organizations can't do that, they may have people want to look to play for that organization compared to playing for the Mercury or the Spark. So I was like, okay, but for women's sport, $500K, I'm telling you, that's making a big impact. Like they actually trying to spend more. If they find them that amount, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? You think that was like for that reason they should have been fined that too much, too little, what?
I mean, so that was a settlement to come to that amount because originally it was going to be a full million. But one, they gave them a heads up that they were pursuing the fines and gave them an opportunity to negotiate it down. They also chose not to charter planes because they were doing it during the second half of the season. They chose not to do it during the playoffs as part of mitigating the amount of the fine, and then they lost by a point in an away game, and then were booted from the playoffs. So the fine was negotiated down. I mean, I think that running professional sports teams based on parity is a joke anyway. So I'm not here in support of anything that says, oh, well, you can't do this because it gives one franchise a competitive advantage over another. It's ridiculous. So
Yeah, I don't really understand all this stuff, legal crap. But yeah, like you did say though, Bonnie, I feel like 500,000 in like a big major sport for men, that's like a drop in the bucket. But it does kind of seem like a lot more money for the WNBA. But yeah, other than that, you guys go back with your legal terms. I'm out of that. But
it's not necessarily about legal terms.
I was
What
about
they're
to say, I'm
saying
not
is
even
that
going to mention
the
it.
thing about professional sports is that you have, and in the WNBA, it may not all be billionaires, but it's people who can afford a sports team as a luxury, right? So this isn't how they're making money. This is something that they do for fun. So you have people who made billions of dollars in capitalist enterprises, like Bunny brought up before, right? So we live in a capitalist society. Most of these people run businesses, trade stocks, run hedge funds, do all this stuff to make their money. In which case, they got to use every advantage that they had at their disposal in order to build their companies and make their money. But then when they get a sports team, they're like, well, I don't want to be outspent. I don't want your team to be better than mine by just saying, whenever athletes want to come out of college or out of high school, whenever, whoever is willing to pay them the most money or give them the best contract, that's who they can sign with. Then teams will cry. And then you have small market teams. It's like, oh, but then no one will come play in Oklahoma City, or then no one will come and play for us, or we won't get this. So that's why we have things like a lottery. It's why we have things like a draft system, so that we can create parity, so that we create opportunities for every team for no one team to have a greater advantage than any other, is what they're trying to achieve. And so what they do is they say, okay, so here are the ways that here are the rules that we're going to put up that then become, that then become legal because they get entered into the collective bargaining agreement. But you don't even have to go that far. All you have to say is that they come to these agreement about these rules about how they are going to play fair with each other, even though how they all made enough money to own sports teams was not by agreeing to play nice with other people in their industry, right? If you worked at Microsoft and Apple had a dope designer, you know what you could do? You could fly that person out. You could wine and dine them. You could offer them billions up front in their paycheck. You can offer them stock options, vacation homes, whatever you want to. You don't have to say, oh, well, I don't want to offer too much because then Apple won't have any good people left, right? Like, they don't do that in the things that make their businesses, but then they do that when it comes to sports teams and other people's lives, because this is literally a game to them, right? People talk about, oh, the players get paid money to play a game. Owners make money allowing people to play a game. And so what they're saying is that we don't want you treating these women like professional athletes, because not every owner has the money to do it or wants to spend the money to do it, or wants to spend the money to do
Come
it,
on now, don't say that statement.
or wants to spend the money to do it.
Okay,
so-
Yeah, they
put
don't
it
want
that
to.
way.
And
Anybody
so
that's part owner
that's
has
why-
some money.
Right. And so that's why they're like, this goes against our collective, this goes against our rules and the collective bargaining agreement. You're
Again,
creating an advantage where people may want to go play for you because you're going to fly them in a charter flight versus what is currently available, which is flying first class on commercial flights.
And I get that as far as leaning for one organization compared to the other, because you're trying to keep it balanced. The WNBA is too new and way too, quote unquote, salaries underpaid for their players, and they don't need already a big, this is the top 14 when the season starts and everybody else is going to suck. We don't need the issues like baseball has. So I get that they need the balance, and every little thing counts.
I don't think
So
they
if you
need
don't
the
follow
balance.
the sport, you may not realize it, but I mean, even if it's
Andy,
first
is this
class.
your mother again? Is that who this is? I
That's
can't
my
remember.
mom.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's what I thought. All right, she said, "What's the difference between Division I and HBCU? Disadvantage. This is a huge disadvantage. This is the most sexist thing I've ever heard. You don't hear about this in the NBA."
Right.
I mean, I'm used to it. I mean, like I said, we talked about on the last show on What Ladies Night, the soccer women's national team finally got their settlement money. I guess that's the word of the day, huh? Settlement.
Yeah. Anyway. Not everybody was happy about it.
24 mil, but it was like, why did it take all of that? But unfortunately, I said I'm used to it because I know I probably underpaid in my regular job, and a lot of jobs that if it's not off of everybody gets the same wage starting out, it doesn't matter men or women. Usually union jobs are good at that. It's off of seniority, all that, but not off your gender. But when you're dealing with other companies, and it's always a pay disparity. And unfortunately, with the WNBA and with the women's national soccer team and any other professional women's sports league, of course, it's always seems like how big of the pay disparity is. It's going to be one, but how big is it? It's not fair. We know life isn't fair. And as your mom said, with the HBCU Division I can go on and on about that as well, but I'm not going to use up the time for that. That's messed up too. Stuff is changing for the better. It's just taking too long. At some point, it's eventually all going to crumble down, specifically when it comes about college sports pay. We talked about last year with the women's basketball teams, their conditions and how they were given the bad food, the hotel accommodations,
like a yoga mat.
To play basketball. If it wasn't for going viral, we would all think like, assume it's the same. Because I thought it would be the same. I don't care if they bring in less money. You're still under NCAA. They make sure these logistics are set up. I thought that everything would be equal. Silly me, right? But it's Women's History Month, so I'm going to still keep it positive. Women are slowly but surely gaining traction. It's not fast enough, but I read an article today about Michelle Roberts. And if you don't know who she is the retired, what do you call it? NBA
president of the NBA Players
right?
Association.
Yeah, right. Bad woman. And she stayed in the role longer than she anticipated. But one thing she said that she not necessarily regrets, but that she did get to work on more, was for the players to have piece of ownership in the organizations, not necessarily for the ones they play for. But when she found out, when you have investors and you have, let's say, somebody that's 5% owner of, let's say, the Mavericks or 10% owner of the Hawks, all they had to do is what? Write a check. So if they can do that, why can't the Players Association write a check to get a little bit of ownership in it? You ever heard of companies that have the employees are the owners of it because they're part owner of their employees? Similar thing. And I'm like, man, that's dope. Like that would be tight for players because they're the ones helping people make money. Why can't they get a piece of that pie?
I mean, the thing is that, so the reason why is because, again, it goes back to the competitive advantage. So owning a 1% of the Los Angeles Lakers is worth more than owning 1% of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so if the Los Angeles Lakers could say, yes, we have salary caps, so we can only pay you this much in salary, but we can also give you 2 shares of the Lakers outside of your contract, then you are now creating a competitive advantage for the Lakers that other teams do not have. And that's why they won't allow it and it won't get done. Also, it is risky to have current active players buying stakes and franchises with with gambling becoming legalized. Because you're just creating opportunities for either actual funny business when it comes to the money, or at least the perception of it. I was mad last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year. So Dwayne Wade now is a part owner of the Utah Jazz and was sitting courtside, but was literally coaching Donovan Mitchell during home games against the Clippers. And it's like, bro, you are literally coaching him, not cheering him on, not giving him a
what's wrong with that?
Like pointing out plays, telling him what to do when they do the pick and roll on this side. And it's like, bruh, they're only allowed to have but so many coaches, and you are now going around the rules and adding an extra coach. So no,
wait a minute.
You shouldn't be allowed to talk to him during.
He's supposed to be quiet on the sidelines, so he can't coach.
He can cheer, but he can't coach. No, he cannot coach. He can cheer.
So because he's doing, let's just say he was
rah.
Let's say he was doing one of the plays that the Jazz run, which he's a part owner, so he could be privy to that, right? Okay. So you said that's wrong. He shouldn't have access to it.
He should not be able to.
It is so much more
Donovan Mitchell aside during
stuff going on besides that.
I mean, you can compare it, like what the Astros did. Obviously, is extreme, but it's kind of this. Someone's helping them do better. You know,
but
like
he's a part owner of the team.
Okay, well,
if that's the case, that's a blanket rule for any owner, any part.
That's what I'm saying.
You need a blanket in. If you're gonna put him for that rule, because it's still not illegal, mind you. It's not illegal.
I'm okay with that. Let Steve Ballmer sit where he sits, scream and yell and sweat through his shirt. But if he were in the top 75 of NBA players and possibly a top 5 guard of all time, he does not need to be coaching people during games.
So if he was Kwame Brown doing the same thing, and Kwame Brown was a part owner of the Jazz, but he's nowhere near as talented as Wade was, and doesn't have
nobody should be coached. You have a certain number of coaches in the rules. There are a certain number of coaches allowed. So if he wants to coach, they need to pay him to coach and take someone else off the end of the bench. The point is, I thought that was sus, and he's a retired player. You could only imagine what shenanigans might go down if current players are owners of teams, when they might. So if I play for the Pelicans and I have stock in the Lakers and we're playing them in a playing game, I know we ain't got no chance of winning no championship. So
he wasn't saying individually.
I might have
a check from the Players Association as a whole, like, that's their union. Like they have a list that way, not from Chris Paul.
If they own stock in each of the teams, then why not just give up a part of the revenue share?
Can do it, then write a check, then their Player Association should be able to write a check and do the same thing. That's what her point is.
That's the same thing as just dividing up revenue shares, then just get a larger piece of the pie in terms of revenue shares. If you're going to say that the NBAPA is the owner of the stock option and will divide it amongst the entire membership, that's the exact same thing as just dividing up revenue share, because that's how they're buying the shares, or that's what creates the value, is the revenue that the team generates. So that just doesn't. That seems
You know what I
like being
think?
unnecessarily complicated.
I think we're getting super like legal again, and I don't like it. So because I feel left out of the show, and we got a couple more topics to get to before our special guest later on. Before we get on to another topic, though, I do want to shout out. I can't remember who Fred said last week that did the new graphic opening. It's awesome. Last week was really cool for the opening of just the normal platform show, but tonight's ladies' night was awesome, and can't wait to see what the guys is going to look like as well. The last Wednesday of this month.
Oh, speaking of, if you're tuning in, make sure you are subscribing on YouTube. Click on that imaginary bell. Also, check us out on Facebook, and we have all our shows saved on Roku. Again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. It's your girl Bunny, along with
Jobo,
and the one and only
Annie.
And we do have the man's name that did do the opening. His name's Justin Bombay, which reminds me of Mighty Ducks. And I feel like I don't want to say the last name. Is it Boski? Boski?
Hey, when I see Bombay, I think Bombay Sapphire, but hey, what do I know?
Oh yeah, Miss Williams, we did need to get her a new belt. We need something flashy for
I have
night.
to find it, you all. I'm sorry. Hey, when I was on pregnancy leave, it was like, yeah. So I'll get it. I promise y'all.
All right, so I will say the NBA MVP stuff.
Yes, race.
I don't know what the heck's going on.
Let me ask you this, Joe. What NBA players do you know?
We talk about this all the time. I like my guy Trae Young. We can talk about the hair all we want, but I do like Trae Young, and obviously I like Tatum because he's from the Lou, and I just think he's really cute. So yeah.
Well,
but I bet you would recognize more players than people who don't follow the MLB would recognize MLB players. I bet that you would recognize the faces of lower caliber NBA players. As someone who doesn't follow the NBA, then people would recognize the faces.
I can tell you right now, like
players.
I will also know who Harden is because come on, the beard, like Curry. But all these people I'm going to name you are big name people, like Tatum and Young. What's with that face?
I don't know if I would consider Tatum a big name person, but I'm gonna let you cook.
But he's from St. Louis, so he's big name around here. So I mean, I would throw him in there. And again, he's easy on the eyes, so that might be why a girl like myself would think, I know who that is. Obviously, everyone knows who LeBron James is and AD and all that good stuff. But again, those are big name players. I can't tell you some random dude's name on like the Rockets team, and I see Rockets stuff on Twitter all the time because I follow so many Houston fans. I couldn't tell you. I don't even know who's on the Rockets right now. Who's on the Rockets?
No one does.
Girl, you ain't missing nothing. They one of the worst in the league. Girl, you missing.
That's what I'm saying though. Is I follow a lot of Houston people on Twitter because of the Astros, and I don't know anything about the Rockets anymore.
I still think that you could name more, that you could pick out more NBA players out of a 6-pack. Not just you, that MLB fans could pick out more NBA players from a 6-pack than people who don't follow baseball could pick out people from the MLB.
But that's the thing, is NBA has a good commish, and they have they know how to put the game out there. That's just how it goes.
Right. How about that?
Yeah, that's just how it is. Right now, you could probably have an average Joe name more hockey players than baseball players because they don't know how to get their players out there.
Is it they don't know how to or they don't want to? Because at this day and age,
probably they don't
want
to.
All the fingertips with technology, how you say you don't know, and you can always mimic another organization and league and what they do.
Well, this is the thing. When you have
brands and get stuff from each other, even from regular shoe deals and stuff, and your marketing deals. Okay, you said Trae Young though, Jobo. He is on the MVP talk, but he's not going to make it. The top that I think will get it, who has been showing his assets, is Jay Morant, and that brother is balling.
See, I have no idea who that is.
Okay, he plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's like 6'3". So not super tall, but when I say that boy can dunk and posterize, and that boy game so bad, like he is the next face of the league. Like right now, between LeBron James and you can even segue on to Steph Curry. Steph Curry's in MVP talks as well, and of course Joel Embiid. But Jay Morant, if he stays healthy, that boy bad. He's worth taking that 4-hour trip from St. Louis to Memphis to see him. Okay, on a hunch. The boy will entertain you. You will not be disappointed. Okay, and you don't have to follow basketball to be like, dang, he can do that. I mean, he's physically phenomenal. And he's just so young too. Like, dude, everybody's getting all that hype to Zion Williamson when he came in, and you see he's been dealing with injuries. He just can't get. He has to redeem himself big time. On the other end, here, Jay Morant was like, "Yeah, I got this." With my eyes closed, dunking, shooting, hitting 53 points in the night, just bad. I definitely, and this was his third year, I think. So look at that. Your third year in the league, you can be an MVP. Who does that? That's so phenomenal. Like,
but, okay.
So that's my pick for it. But
all right, well, since Trae Young's name's up there, Trae Young, that's who I got.
Talked at one time, but you know, it's not strong enough though. Because you know, MVP voting is based off of points. If you get 10 points for first place vote, 7 points, second place, third place, I think 5. Whoever gets the most points, that's how you win. Now, how many people vote for them? It's media people and sports writers, but they don't, of course, disclose exactly who they are. I guess it's similar like that with MLB, NHL, NFL. It's people that vote, but we're not going to know who. But you got an idea who is, at least for some organizations. Who's your MVP candidate, Annie?
I think either Jokic or Embiid will win it. I think either Jokic will... Yeah, he was MVP last year, so either he'll go back-to-back or I think Embiid will win it, particularly if he stays healthy. And with the addition of James Harden, I think that they'll climb in the Eastern rankings, and that is also something that they look for in terms of when they're deciding MVP, unless someone is doing something that, you know, Steph Curry's 2016 season, Russell Westbrook's first triple-double season, unless you're doing something that's like historic, then it's typically the best player on the best team. And right now, Embiid has the opportunity to do that because the West is so strong. And Jokic is pretty much doing it by himself at the moment. But he's been playing better this year than he played last year and won MVP. But, you know, MVP in my heart is Klay Thompson.
Okay, shout out for a comeback player of the year. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he may get that. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, okay, we'll see. This is February or March now. So we got they don't let us know who the MVP is until June, like right before the finals. Something like
right around baseball opening day.
Girl, that's gonna be our exit. Remember that, baseball opening day. So ladies, it is time to bring on one more person to our panel, and my government name is similar to hers, but we are going to introduce the one and only Miss Samantha Jenkins. And what's so interesting about Miss Jenkins, she is a softball player. So her and Joe have so much in common that is actually scary. I don't know too many softball players, and she played in college at SIUC, and she is now a hardworking lady in the corporate world, like the rest of us, for a Centene Corporation. Without further ado, let's bring her on, Miss Samantha Jenkins.
Hi guys. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for
See,
having me.
Joe, now you and Samantha can nerd out on softball and not talk about legal and
right.
Yeah, I was yawning over here.
Joe was sick of our mess. She was sick of us.
I was just letting it happen. I did tell Brendan that I figured Annie would be the one to fight back a little bit about all this legal stuff on the baseball side. And what do we know? We end up talking about football with the
right. But there's still legal stuff inside. And a disclaimer, I don't own any rights to any legal information or any NDAs or anything. I know nothing of it, okay? See nothing, hear nothing, know nothing. Anyway, Ms. Jenkins, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
History Month.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, We got comments coming in. Joe, can you see them?
Well, I see a big old Samantha icon.
Got some family watching. Yeah.
And then this is
Okay.
our loyal Miss Williams right here. She's on for every show. She says, "Welcome, Miss Jenkins."
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, she'll be probably commenting throughout the entire show. But Bunny, you got to ask the question that we always ask our special guest.
Me?
Yeah,
Hey,
you.
you're the softball guru. You guys are the ones that I'm gonna be quiet, looking like, okay, what's all this softball talk?
You can do the first one. I got questions written down.
Oh, let's go with it. Miss Samantha.
Yes.
Do you have a nickname, by the way, real quickly?
I mean, growing up, everybody just called me Sam. No special nickname.
Do you
No
hear
Sammy or
Sam?
anything?
Sam I am. I don't eat green eggs and ham.
Yeah, some people say it's Sam I am. Some people say SJ. And actually some people say SJ before I even got married, so it just kind of fell in there. Yeah, no, mainly just Sam. It's kind of the only nickname people ever called me.
Okay, Sam. Well, let me ask you. So, when and what, either or, you can say, when did you first fall in love with sports? Sum it up that way.
I was young. I was probably, so my dad always tells a story that he knew that I had an interest in baseball when I was asking questions about the sport at like 3 or 4. So he was like, I was asking like the running track. He was like, I was like, what's that right before the wall? Like, what is that before the wall? And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the warning track. So he said I was asking questions that a typical kid probably wouldn't have asked. So I think I fell in love with it early. I mean, I was interested pretty early on, so probably about 4 or 5.
Yeah, I will say a normal kid doesn't usually ask about the warning track. That's
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He was like, "Really? You asked about the warning track?"
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So right away, it was baseball, softball.
Yeah. So growing up, first sport I played was t-ball. I was 6 when I first started playing t-ball, and then that rolled into soccer. So growing up, I played softball and soccer.
Ah,
That
okay,
pretty much took up the whole year because they were both ended up being very competitive. So it took up. And
So
they
you
ran
got on
into-
select teams as well?
Yep,
Like
I was
you
on
play-
down select teams when I was 10. So by 10, I was playing select, and it's pretty much was all year. So one sport would run to the other. The good thing is that my coaches had understanding that I did play another sport. So when it was softball season, it was softball season. When it was soccer season, it was soccer season. And even though they may still have been doing something, I was doing the other sport. So the good thing is that they understood that I just was not a one sport athlete, that I did play multiple sports. But yeah, it was all year round. I mean, we were literally my softball coach had a batting cage in his basement. We were literally doing batting practice in January.
Y'all exclusive in the
Yeah,
basement.
It was serious. It was serious.
It's the dream right there. That's the dream.
Yep. So I never had a break. It was all year round between one or the other sport.
I just imagine he had a whole batting cage in his basement.
He had a whole
backyard.
field in his backyard. He was a dentist, so he was a dentist. He lived out in Chesterfield, and that was before Chesterfield became like what it is. So he lived out like, like where the where the Todman Prestige Malls, where it used to be, kind of like where Top Golf is.
Yeah.
So he lived out that way before all that became that. So it was just houses and land. So he had a baseball field in his backyard. Yeah, he had cages in the basement. It was serious.
I see. Well, dang, Annie, did any of your coaches have a football field when you were playing for the Slam?
No, we be trying
crazy.
to get actual high schools to let us use their field for games, but people be stingy. So no, we don't.
I will say, when I started playing select in high school, so I wasn't as early on as you, but it's a Cardinals pitcher that we used to have. Crazy long last name. I can't remember it at all, but either way, it was cool because there was a couple times we got to go practice at his house, and he had the not a barn, but kind of like a barn outside, and the entire thing was the length of batting cages and do indoor drills and stuff like that. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yep.
And then
All
Stacy
right.
Berry's. Is this a friend, an old teammate?
No, that's my cousin or my
Your
dad,
cousin?
my sister-in-law, kind of like sister-in-law / cousin.
Okay,
Hey,
cool.
Casey, cousin, sister.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, she was saying playing multiple sports takes a lot of mental toughness. I only did it my junior or senior year, and I was drained. So yeah, you doing it that early on.
And then I threw in track in high school. So when I got to high school, I started running track. So then I became a 3-sport athlete in high school.
It's too much running.
Yeah, you're right. It was a lot of running. You're so right about that.
Man, so what did you do? Sleep on a bus ride to school? I'm just saying, like, cause like y'all said, it's mentally tough. You still got homework to do in high school. I don't know if y'all parents made y'all do chores. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, soccer and track are the same season. So the coaches had to agree on when I would go to track meets. So on the weekends were track meets, and during the week were soccer games. So the coaches came to the agreement that I would do the week for soccer, and then I would actually run from the soccer field was up the hill and the track was at the bottom. I would run from one practice to the other. So I would do an hour at one practice and an hour at the other one.
wow.
That's commitment.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
Dang,
as Mr. Brian Berry said,
for the team. Sheesh. For the team.
Yeah, and then we had games during the week. It was soccer games during the week, and then weekends were committed to track meets.
Girl, so your whole spring you just running.
Yeah, most thing I was just running.
You were running in your sleep, probably. This girl was running soccer track, running from one field to another, around the track, around it. Man,
yeah, it was a lot of running.
You should have been trying out for the Olympic team. That's because you was in shape, definitely.
I was definitely in shape. You're right. Definitely in shape. But I ended up not playing. I ended up quitting soccer after my freshman year, and then I just kept running track.
Okay. What position did you play in soccer?
And soccer, I played forward.
Forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they tried having me play goalie. My softball coach told me to try it out for the off season, and then I ended up breaking my finger, and then I was mad because I couldn't play select ball for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because that sucked. Because softball was number one for me. I didn't even want to play soccer.
Yep.
But yeah, then I was playing forward and stuff with splint and a mummy wrap all over my hand, running around like an idiot.
Put your hand up in there.
And how you getting all these injuries, Joe? I mean, just from regular wear and tear during the sport, or outside of the sport, you were hurting your fingers and stuff.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, that one was actually playing. I think it was Hillsborough. Playing Hillsborough. It was a cold, wet game, and I just went to go catch the soccer ball. This girl kicked at me and broke my finger. Just shattered it like right at the knuckle. Ooh. So, and obviously your hands are pretty important in softball if you're a catcher.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
What position did you play
in softball?
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I played shortstop. And then it wasn't until I went to college before I moved over to second base.
Big difference between the two? Between shortstop and second?
Huge difference. Shortstop, you have more time at second base. So shortstop, you don't have a lot of time at all, especially when it comes to softball, because slapping is huge in softball. So you don't have a lot of time at short to get rid of the ball. But at second, it's a lot more time at second base. So actually, it wasn't a bad move. I actually liked it.
Were you a lefty or a righty?
So I was a righty. At what point, maybe when I was like 14 or 15, my select coach tried to switch me over to the left side. I know my dad wasn't a big fan of it. I did a little bit of it, and yeah, he wasn't a big fan of it, so I pretty much stayed to the right. But it was funny because I was in college and we were having batting practice one day, and I joked with them about hitting left-handed, and my coach was like, "Turn around and do it." And so I started doing it. She was like, "Really? This whole time you could have been doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because my husband still to this day will be watching softball on because ESPN Plus now has a lot of college softball, which is awesome. Difference. But he's like, does everyone just slap the ball now? I'm like, I mean, the base paths are so short, and a lot of times they're a lot faster than I ever was. So, but yeah, slapping it definitely helps. I've only tried it once in like a for fun game. It's harder than it looks.
There are college teams where like 7 of their 9 are lefty.
Yeah. I probably feel like if you're a lefty, you're probably gonna get committed to a college.
Yeah. Like I signed my kids up for t-ball this year, and I mean, I'm not putting. If my daughter doesn't want to do it, that's fine. But if she actually sticks with it, I would be okay if she was a lefty slapper. I really would.
So that terminology is new to me. A lefty slapper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're most likely going to be a slapper if you're a lefty.
So
Wait, why is it called slapper? Because I mean, just if I just walk the room, heard somebody say lefty slapper, I'm like, okay, are we talking about slapping?
You're slapping the ball, basically. Like you're standing up there and you're kind of running towards it, and you're just kind of throwing your bat at the ball and just slapping it and running.
Yeah, you're literally kind of do like a walk up. I don't know if you've ever seen Ichiro Suzuki hit the ball before. He's the best example I have to a Major League Baseball player, but they literally just kind of walk up and slap it. A lot of times they go opposite field, really. But but yeah, those were kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. And then
that's a heck of a screen name, lefty slapper. I'm saying like lefty, so what we slapping? Wait, what? And then I'm like, well, maybe that's a stripper name. Maybe I don't know. My mind's just going everywhere. Like, what the hell is a lefty?
That's a. Anyways, Fred asked if there's switch hitters in softball. I think I played with like two, but yeah, there definitely is, just like baseball.
There are. I mean, I didn't see it very often, but there are. And usually it's because they have the speed. So they're going to go lefty because they have the speed, but they also are a good hitter, a power hitter from the right. So that's usually someone that would do it.
Yeah, I feel like with softball, it's not like Major League Baseball whenever you're like, oh, there's a lefty pitcher up, so let me bat right-handed. It's kind of more of a scenario type thing.
No.
Cool. Miss Annie, did you ever play softball or soccer or track or any of these sports that Miss Samantha is so multi-talented at? Just curious, because I know I did.
Yeah, the first sport I played was t-ball. I got kicked off my team.
Oh.
Then I was a cheerleader. I got kicked off a cheerleading team.
Oh God.
And then I played basketball. I got kicked off my basketball team.
Oh my gosh.
And then I did track. Starting in 6th grade, I competed in the Junior Olympics. In 7th grade, and then I did track all through high school. Won state competition.
Track stars on here.
State Florida stuff.
So I guess I'm the only one who didn't do the t-ball, softball, baseball, none of that.
I feel like that's
outcast of the group. Okay, yeah.
I feel like that's usually the first thing parents get their kids into.
I
feel like it's probably the cheapest too.
Yeah.
I guess I'm definitely get the L to my parents on that one because my first one was basketball.
It's probably because it's like the cheapest, and
it doesn't take a lot of coordination.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally just hitting a ball off the tee, which I mean, it seems easy when you're young. When you get older, it's a little bit harder. But yeah.
Okay.
What made you want to sign your national letter of intent to go play at SIUE Carbondale? Well, not E, but SIU.
What made me choose Carbondale?
Yeah.
So I had some options. I had some Oklahoma options, Kentucky options, Illinois options, like U of I options. But Carrie, our coach Carrie Blaylock, she was really huge on creating a impact team with the talent around her. So, back when, I'm gonna say back when because I feel like I'm old, but really, like, in the 90s and 2000s, like early 2000s, Florida and California were like the powerhouses of softball. And a lot of the girls that were getting recruited were from those states. So she was really big on trying to create a Carbondale's a mid-major D1. They're D1, but they're not, your big-time D1 schools. But she was really big on creating a team with the talent that we had in the area. And I want to say, like, my senior year, before I went, she maybe had like 12 or 13 girls that were from the St. Louis metro Illinois area. And I really liked that. I liked that she was keeping it close and she was trying to make a big impact with what we had in the area. And then even when I went, there were 4 of us from the St. Louis, Illinois metro area. So that was huge. And then, I mean, honestly, I did want to stay close to home. My family does come to a lot of games, so it helped that I was only 2 hours away from home. So they were able to come to every home series. I don't think they came to any midweek games, but I mean, for every home series, they were there. If I would have went somewhere farther away, they wouldn't be able to show up like that. So, and she did. I mean, she did what she set out to do. I mean, for the 4 years I was there, we made the regionals. We were a Sweet 16 team. We won conference championships. We did what she set out to do. So, sometimes I think about, like, I kind of regret not even looking at Oklahoma, given the powerhouse Oklahoma is, but I don't regret the decision to go to SIU.
Okay, it's bomb.com. What division? Not what division, Lord. What conference is SIU seeing?
So they're Missouri Valley.
Missouri Valley.
Yep,
Which
Missouri
they come.
Valley.
Okay, gotcha. So with that, with the recruiting process, first of all, coming from Hazelwood East High School, was that big for a softball player and somebody that signed a letter of intent?
Yeah, it was huge. And a lot of people always ask me, like, you got recruited from, like, well, technically, I got recruited playing select. I really didn't get recruited playing high school. And it's kind of different because a lot of the Illinois softball's big in Illinois. So a lot of girls from Illinois get looked at in the high school level. Whereas in St. Louis, it's more the select level, honestly. I mean, the coaches will show up to high school games, but it's really more of the select area. But yeah, it was definitely a big deal that a softball player is getting signed to a D1 school for softball out of East, because East is a football school. I mean, that's what they are known for. I mean, we had my graduating class, we had about 6 or 7 guys go D1 out of just my graduating class alone for football. So yeah, to have a softball player come out was a big deal.
Shout out to you for that, making
right. I went to a tiny
moves. I know, right? Shoot. Mama asking, what class are you? From Hazelwood East class or what?
2002.
Oh, 2?
Yep, 2002.
Okay. I don't know anybody that. I'm 2000, so I knew a couple of people that went there, that graduated in my class.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm talking about for football players. I won't. If you probably say some name like, oh, okay, no worries.
Like class 01 has Scott Starks.
Okay.
Went to Wisconsin, played for Jacksonville for a little bit.
Okay.
My class had Brandon Williams. Went to Wisconsin, played for San Francisco for a little bit. My class had David Richard. My class had, I think, who kind of made on the bigger stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we had about 6 or 7 that went to big schools, like your Michigans, your Wisconsins, Missouris. Yeah. So football.
And you still had you. Yes, honey. Shout out to you for that, though. Hey, yeah. That's what's up.
What select team did you play for? And like whenever you did play, like where at? Because like whenever I played select, it was at the Afton Fields. So there's like 20 fields there.
Yeah, the team that I played with the longest were the St. Louis Sluggers. We mainly played at Kirkwood. So we had like our league nights were at Kirkwood. We did do some league nights at ABC. And then most of our tournaments were, I mean, honestly, we were out of town probably twice a month. I mean, he kept us gone. But when we were here, we were mainly at a Kirkwood tournament. We had some Ellisville, some Valley Park. But yeah, mainly Kirkwood. I probably spent 7 years of my life at Kirkwood, the park off of Marshall.
Tell me if this is true or not, though. From what I heard with coaches, if they have you on the road a lot, like select team or not, or really a high school team, if you're on the road a lot, that means you have something to show. They want people to see. So apparently, that's not a bad thing.
That's true. That's true. And we had a good team. We had a really good team. But yeah, he kept us.
And the competition, he wants to see competition outside of your area. So the coaches tend to travel for that reason. So
we were gone a lot, like 2 weekends a month. We were gone. So,
okay.
A lot of road trips, a lot of good memories with the girls growing up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully with the kids, because I had a good time with that.
You still keep in contact with any of your teammates from high school or even college?
So from college, I mean, we kind of had like social media. I mean, the last time I really saw a lot of them was at my wedding. I invited my class to the wedding.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah. So, and then as far as the girls I grew up with, we kind of keep in contact through social media a little bit every now and then. Probably not as much as we should, but kind of mainly through social media.
Gotcha.
Who would you say that helped you like develop your game? Was it, a coach? Was it your dad? Since it sounds like he was the one that kind of helped you with your love of baseball / softball?
Kind of a mixture of both. I mean, we would definitely go out in the backyard and work on some hitting, and even like I started in t-ball, but we would work on just hitting the ball without the tee. So I mean, he kind of got me into just doing just straight off the pitch early on, and then yeah, it's kind of just coaches and practice, and I mean, I think some of it just kind of came natural too. So yeah, kind of a mixture of both.
Okay. Oh, I meant to say this earlier. I'm sorry. Miss Williams said she never played sports as a kid. She said, I'm not sure they had as many opportunities for young kid team sports in the 60s when she was little. That's okay, Miss Williams. You sound like my father. He lived now, he's 50, 60, same thing. He played in high school sports, but nothing that young. Let's see. Miss Hannah Smith said she played at a Hall of Fame stadium in Oklahoma to make it to nationals each year.
Yeah. So so now so the Hall of Fame tournament is a 16 under tournament. 16 under tournament. Yeah, I think it's a 16 under tournament. That if you get first or second in that tournament, you're automatic bid to nationals. So yeah, we did that for those 2 years. So we've probably, out of the 96, out of the 8 years that I played with them, no. Wait, how old am I? 96, 2000. 6 years. So out of the 6 years I played with them, we made it to nationals, I think 5 out of the 6. I think it was one year we didn't make it. And it was honestly the year we didn't make it was the year like everybody's going to their freshman year of college.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
All those years?
Yeah.
Y'all sound like y'all could have been in the College Hall of Fame. I mean, seriously, you going that many trips? Like, you know how hard, of course, you know how hard it is, but geez. Look.
Even though I didn't make it to the College World Series in college, I did play on that field because that's where the College World Series played, on that Hall of Fame stadium.
That's okay, though. You starting on Women's History Month, thebomb.com. Girl, look at you. I learn something new every day. I tell you. And you say, even though you didn't make it at the College World Series, you said you have twins, right?
I do have twins, yes.
Maybe one of them can add on to your footsteps.
I know. So
be right in it, but add on to what you've done already.
And I have a boy and a girl. Right now, it's looking like my son might be the natural baseball player. But I don't know. We'll see what she can do once we get out there.
How old are they?
They're 4. I mean, they're
4.
just getting started. Yeah, I literally just signed them up for t-ball. They'll start probably in April, May-ish. But yeah, he picked it up naturally. I kept trying to show him how to swing right-handed a couple years ago. So I bought him a tee and a ball. I kept trying to show him how to swing right-handed. He wasn't having it. And then one random day, he picked up the bat perfectly left-handed and just started swinging.
That's what you want right there. You want a lefty. Yeah. Hopefully he's like southpaw and make you lots of money later on in life.
I know. So Brian, I keep asking Carter if he want to play soccer, and he'll dribble around the house, but he said no.
No.
So yeah, right now they're both in gymnastics. Yeah, I signed them up for t-ball, so we'll kind of just see what they gravitate towards.
Joe Ball, since you got a 1-year-old, right? Or 2?
Yeah, she's 14 months now.
You gonna put her on the same stage at 3 or 4, get ready for t-ball, and then get to left slappy and all other little jargon I just used.
You're killing me with that.
I'm just saying, I was unexpected. I'm like, what the hell is that? Okay.
Obviously, I'm gonna try to put a bat in her hand and play catch with her, but whatever she wants to do, I'm fine with. But I would like to see her at least attempt softball because that was a very big part of my life growing up. So, yeah, hopefully she does like it. If not, oh well, I guess we'll try the next time, huh?
Yeah, we'll put her in soccer or basketball or be like, Annie, get on the girls' football team at 5 years old.
Soccer, I feel like, soccer, I would not be able to teach her anything, Like, if it was volleyball, my husband could teach her something, but soccer, I don't really know anything about it. I just played for 2 years. Back to baseball and softball, though, because that's that's my spot right there. Is there any players you liked watching up softball and baseball wise?
So like Lisa Fernandez was big when I was growing up. Michelle Smith, Natasha Watley. And it's just crazy how things have changed. I mean, I literally just made this post on Facebook the other day. Like, growing up, the only softball they showed on TV was the World Series, and that was it. And if then, I think they only really showed they didn't show every game. They would maybe show like the beginning round, and maybe once they got towards like the championship game. But now you can find it on the SEC network, ESPN, ESPN Plus. You can find it on almost every sports station. And I mean, I want to say they are planning to show like 1,200 games this year, which is crazy. So I'm happy that they will have something to, and I'm happy that other girls have other kids or to look up to, because we didn't really have that many to really see and watch growing up. But definitely Natasha Watley. I mean, she was she was a Black female. She was shortstop, and she was on the Olympic team. So I definitely looked up to her.
Yeah, I feel like you said, the World Series and then the Olympics.
Yeah,
it was pretty much all that we got to see on TV. And then like obviously, like Jenny Finch and Kate Osterman, those types of those ladies. That's who I think of when I think of softball.
Yeah.
But like you said, now that there's gonna be more and more games that are televised, hopefully more names get out there. And it's not even just ranked teams either that they're showing.
Oh yeah, they're showing everybody.
It's just smaller colleges as well.
And it's just kind of grown. Like when we were in college, we were on TV for the conference championship game. So it kind of even got to the point where they were showing conference championships of your smaller conferences, made like the Fox Sports News channel. But yeah, the fact that they're just showing regular Tuesday night games is crazy. So it's definitely grown a lot.
Was that nerve-wracking? Did you know you guys were on TV?
Yes, we knew we were on TV. We played a horrible game. I'm glad that we did good enough in the season to get an at-large bid, because we relied on that conference. It was a mess.
No bueno.
Yeah, it was no good.
Was it just the one game you guys were on TV?
Yeah. So this was 2004. Yeah, it was 2004. Yeah, it was just a championship game that they showed on TV.
Miss Williams said that she thinks it's great for them, meaning the kids, to get involved in sports young. And she said you can let her watch lots of sports broadcasts and videos so she knows what's out there.
Yeah.
Referring to your daughter. Mm-hmm.
Right now, we watch a lot of gymnastics around here, and she likes to mimic floor routines. So she does a lot of lyrical dancing like she's doing a floor routine.
So, I think this is going to be the easiest time of her life when they're young in sports, because my daughter goes to gymnastics. It's real simple. It's introduction. She's 3.
Yeah.
No problem. We introduced a little bit of swimming last summer. Introducing. This is the easiest part, because once we have to do schedules and games, and
don't get hectic. Yeah.
I'm gonna need a stunt double. I'm telling you, and I already don't get enough sleep, right? I'm used to this right now. But eventually, when you have to be on those schedules, like since you guys are all athletes, so you know how it is with schedules and practices. So now you're on the other end as a parent. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I know.
I will definitely say being a mother is 10 times harder than playing softball every day of the weekend on the weekends. I'm just saying. Playing at 100 degrees weather, putting all the catcher's gear on. I'm more exhausted now than I ever was.
It'll get easier. It'll get a little bit easier.
Yeah, hopefully.
Get used to it. That's what I'm thinking. Sheesh.
Our host did have a fun question, Smooth. He was asking who's the better athlete in the household for all of us. So, like,
me.
You? Okay. Did your husband play any sports?
No. He likes to say that he's more competitive than me, but no. I think he played a little bit basketball, but yeah, no. I'm definitely the better athlete.
Okay. He thinks he's better to with board games. Maybe that's his competitive side.
That he's really into music. So like music is his thing. He's really into music. So yeah.
I'll say when it comes to baseball, softball, it's me. That's it. Brendan will probably vouch for that too, because we played some co-ed softball beer leagues, and I still had it going there for a little bit. Let me just say that, okay? But yeah, if it comes to anything else, like we play with my daughter's little basketball hoop in the living room, he's got me beat. He's got me beat for sure.
Oh, y'all have one of those too?
Yeah, just those itty bitty, like, you know, white, yellow, not white, yellow, white, orange, and blue, and we'll just be like doing fadeaways in the living room from the kitchen, and he's definitely got me beat. He's doing trick shots and everything, and I don't know how he's good at it, but he's good at it.
Practice. You want to talk about practice? Practice. Practice makes perfect on a little kid. I'm just saying, a little kid goalie, yeah, you got to be practicing. I'm not athletic like that. I mean, heck, I do well just for walking from the car to the store. That's my exercise. Like, I am not running. Running after a toddler is enough. Okay. I'm not that athletic. Now, I got y'all with music. You said your husband in music. I can get you the basic stuff with music. That's my competitive edge. That and playing some card games. I got you there too. Sports, I love watching it, analyzing, talking about it because I know I am not that athlete. After high school, it was a rap, and I have not looked back. I'm just saying. So there you have it. I think I'm probably gonna be the least athletic in this house. Like I said, daughter already doing gymnastics. She likes to run, chasing after her. Husband, he's basketball person, look, coaching too, and all. So yeah, I've accepted it, and so I'm fine. I'm just saying, I'm the type of person at a fast action game, soccer game, basketball game, I could be in the corner asleep with a lot of noise around. That's how, like, you into sports, you into competition and cheering on, but at the same time, at the point of my life, I can catch a Z. I'm cheering that on. Okay, I'm cheering that on myself. I can get a quick nap. Yes, that's me. And Miss Annie.
I am definitely more athletic than my partner. I just texted him to make sure he was listening because I wanted him to hear me say this. So yeah, so any children would definitely we would want them to get my athletic genes, and not his. So
I can see that.
Can he not like dribble a basketball or anything? Like,
I can see Annie though just being dominant in everything sports wise. If you didn't do football, Annie, then I would be like, okay. But since being football, what it entails, the aggression, the physicality of it, I can also see like Annie.
I'm not aggressive. I'm not an aggressive football player at all.
I would think you were for how you come on the show and talk though.
No, because I care about right and wrong, and I only get emphatic when I'm like, when we start straying away from things that are not just matters of opinion, but have like legal definitions or stuff like that, then I'm like, then the nerd in me won't let things go. But I'm competitive when it comes to football, but I don't play angry. I play smart. I leverage the strength that I have. So hopefully no one I know. Okay, so you know who you are. If you're listening, you can turn it off right now because I'm about to say something that I never cop to in private. So even though I have 6 foot energy, I am one of the shortest football players. I'm one of the shortest on my team. I'm one of the shortest in the trenches. And so me just being like aggressive and tiny is not going to get it done. So I play smart. So I use what I have. I use leverage. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know the plays. I study film. I know where they're supposed to be before they're supposed to be there. And I do my part to set my team up for success. So that's what I contribute. But I do not contribute. He's texting me. No. So and I said turn it off, dude. Okay. Your part is over. So yeah, so I don't play angry. That's just not who I am as a person, and I just don't feel like it would make a difference in terms of what my skill set brings to the defensive line. But yeah, I don't. It often upsets offensive linemen that I'm not angry and that they can't agitate me because they'll talk about me. They'll like hit me after the whistle and do all kinds of dirty stuff. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, next play. Or except for one championship game. I did have somebody get on the last championship I played in. I did have one girl get on my nerves, and I was like, "Scoreboard, bitch." Other than that, that's about as aggressive.
Wow,
As I
tell me
get.
how you really feel.
That's about as aggressive as I get. Otherwise, no. See, look what y'all done started about asking about who people get jeans from. Now I'm gonna have to resolve this conversation once we finish up here. And
My name Bennett. I ain't in it.
no, y'all started it. So
Nuh-uh. I know.
y'all
That's
try
how
to
you
bring
get
up
people
happy
started
homes.
there.
But
Wait. That one
Technically,
word, y'all. When you use that word, y'all, that's how you get people riled up until ready to go fight more. It
and
ain't y'all.
technically, tell him
Who
to
said
follow
that?
up with
Not us.
Fred.
Ain't no y'all. It's him. Smooth.
technically, it's Joe.
Hey, I am
Because
following our leader's orders, and that is
because what was asked was for the wives. So I was intentionally left out of the responses.
fine.
And
The
then Joe said,
females in this.
all of us.
See, now Fred's booing me on our chat. Okay.
Right. So Fred said, I was just trying to do this for heteronormative, married, patriarchal couples. And so then Joe said, no, I'm going to be inclusive. I'm going to ask the entire panel. And now
Yeah.
I got people in my text messages talking about, I'm more athletic.
They'll get over it. They'll get over it.
See, if you're still watching, Joe said you'll get over it.
Yeah, you'll get over it.
And
Don't be sore.
I need it back on the record that I'm 6 feet. So
Heck no. Wait. Let's go back off the record real quickly. How tall are you again?
I'm 5'4".
Oh, okay. That's not that bad. I mean, it's not midget. It's not average height, but I thought average height was 5'5". Am I wrong?
Hey,
It
I'm only
is.
5 feet. You trying to call me a midget?
Wow, you're 5 feet?
Yeah.
You're 5 feet? Oh, that's so
You know,
adorable.
I do feel like second.
Look,
I do feel like second
base.
basemans are always kind of shorter. I'm not gonna lie.
That's super cute. Okay, see, I'm taller than somebody. I don't know why he thinks I'm lying about being 5'4". I'm 5'4", people. I've had a doctor tell me that.
Wait, Cole Wong is that height? That's what Smooth said. Cole
Yeah.
Wong is 5'4".
He's not
He was
5
that
feet.
really?
He's short.
I mean,
I
he's
didn't know he
short.
was
He's
that
definitely
short.
short.
The camera puts
I'ma
different
Google
angles
it.
on people when they're on the field, huh?
I'm gonna Google it, but yeah, I feel like second basemans are always on the shorter side, so that's funny. Let's see. Cole Wong. He is 5'7".
He looks shorter than that.
But I mean, that is, I guess, technically short for a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like almost like average height for an American male. Hey, sweetheart.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Russ personality, you all. This is your 3-year-old gymnast.
I love
And
it.
likes to kick the basketball as a soccer ball, but here nor there. She's come
Happy
a long way
Women's
from when she
History
first
Month
came on the show
here.
when she was months old, right?
See, she's like me. As soon as I see myself in the camera, I got to start checking my hair out, make sure it's in place. I think
Mardi
you met
Gras
my
colors.
daughter because that's exactly how I be. I know, and I love your beads. They're so
Say
cute.
thank you. Anyway,
See, Miss Williams looked it up. 5'4"
American
is
woman.
average height for a woman.
I thought you said male earlier for 5'7".
I thought 5'8" was average height for a dude. That's why I said 5'7" is
Miss
close
Williams
to average.
fact checked us.
Right. Miss Williams be coming in. We need to get her on the payroll.
Miss Williams be coming with it. Thanks, Miss Williams. Facts up.
Right. She be
Fact
Googling
checkers
where
all the time.
curling
Thank you.
originated and all kinds of stuff. So
Back to softball. What was like your highest level of success when it comes to, like, obviously what we got from you is like you played in the NCAA championship. How awesome was that? Was that
cool.
the highest for you? Like,
So my freshman year we made Sweet 16. So freshman year we kind of shocked everybody when we were beating top 25 teams left and right, and we went down and beat Alabama in Alabama. So we ended up getting an at-large bid in 2003, and we went down and ended up. So at the time, the regionals was broken down to 8 teams of 8, and that's how they came up with the field of 64. And so we ended up losing to Alabama in the championship game. So that was our Sweet 16 run. So that was probably like the highest like the best part as far as how far we made it. But I mean, just that whole college run. I mean, we went back to back NBC conference championships. Like I said, we got at-large bids all 4 years I was there. I mean, we went from a team that never made regionals to getting at-large bids 4 years in a row. So we definitely put SIU on the map to the point to the next year. I mean, they were in the top 25. They were ranked, and they ended up hosting a regional in 2007. So it definitely was. It was a good 4 years of just having people recognize a mid-major, smaller softball program.
Okay, cool.
Oh, funny, we got a brand. We got to brand the ladies' night.
I know. We need to. I mean, at first I was running with what Miss Williams / Sarita was like, that's it to be authentic. But now, we can brand the whole thing. But again, that gets into legality. And I don't want to get Annie riled up. So Annie can take that department. You can handle that for us. So thank you. We assign her that. Ms. Williams said, regarding us, telling us how she fact checks us. She said she's a scientist, so she does this for a living. We appreciate you, honey. We appreciate you. Get us right. And a shout out for you being a scientist. Man, look at this. I'm telling you, Women's History Month is every day because we got women doing phenomenal things all the time on career paths. And speaking of that, Miss SJ, once you stopped playing softball in college when your career was over with, did you still touch on it or like go back to talk to players, start coaching yourself, or you just start right to the working world?
Yeah, so I came home and I ended up coaching some T-ball kids. I ended up doing the Red Bull Rookies program, and I ended up coaching a group of 4 or 5-year-olds in T-ball. Most funniest 3 months of my life. It was hilarious. I did that for the summer, and then I took a year off, and then I started grad school. So I was working full time, started grad school, and I was I was a coach at Lindenwood. So I was coaching the Lindenwood softball team as a grad assistant for a couple years while I was in grad school, and then I was still playing. So there's a lot of women's leagues. Growing up, they have like the select, you have 18 under, like that's as far as it goes, as far as like the kids. Then it goes into women's ball. And so every summer I would come home, I would play the women's league, the women's competitive league. And then I played in that women's competitive league for probably 4 or 5 years after I graduated. About 4 or 5 years after I graduated. Then I kind of stopped playing that and then just kind of worked full time. I did a little stint with slow pitch for a couple years, but I have not actually played since 2015. So about 7 years?
Not even any like beer league things or nothing?
I did the beer league thing for a couple years. I did do the beer league thing for like 2013, 2014 or something like that. But yeah, I haven't played an actual game since 2015.
All right, Ms. Williams got a question. What did you master's in?
Healthcare management.
Oh, that's why you work for Centene. Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Since you have like a big resume, like do you keep stash your trophies somewhere? You got them thrown up in a room?
If you go to my dad's house, my grandma lives with my dad. If you go there, they have in high school at East, they had this big thing called the Spartan Award. And it was for the best player on each team for fall and spring. So every year at the end, they would have like the fall banquet, spring banquet. Well, out of the 4 years in high school, I got that award 3 times. So all those are like in this, my grandma has it like in this glass shrine thing. So all my trophies, all my medals, the Spartan Awards are in there. For high school and college, we were given our jerseys as like our senior gift. So she has my jersey hanging up. So yeah, it's kind of a lot. Yeah. Over there, they have a lot of stuff. I don't have much here at home, but they do have a lot of my stuff there.
I wish we got to take our high school jerseys home. Those things were sick. All right, Bunny, here I go. I'm going to say this is the first time I'm saying this, but this is Ladies' Night on the Platform Sports Talk Show. Fred, you gotta give me all the platforms. We're on everything. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on. You can stream after the show. Was it Roku, something like that? Instagram, Twitter. Don't be laughing, Annie. This is your job. But yeah, after the show goes live, it's Roku TV. But yeah, make sure you subscribe, and Bunny, click on the imaginary bell. We will get one of those soon. But yeah, we're here with our special guest Samantha Jenkins, and we're talking about softball, one of my favorite things in the world.
That was an awesome job, Jobo.
Thank you.
Good job. Rock on.
Fred, I would like a raise. Thank you.
Well, sign me up too then. Okay. My question for you, Miss SJ, what is the biggest misconception about women compared to men playing softball for women, men playing baseball? Like, what's the biggest misconception?
Well, for one, you have men that think softball's easy. They think that it's not that hard and that anybody can hit a pitch that's thrown underhand. When actually it is not. There is a video of Jenny Finch pitching to some Major League Baseball players, and she is striking them out left and right.
Yeah, Albert Pujols was one of those, in his MVP days.
Yeah.
Try hitting a rise ball.
Yeah. So they think
that,
this is a big old ball and it's not that hard to hit. Yeah. No, it's not as easy as they think it is until they actually step in the box and try to hit it. But it's pretty much the same sport. It's just on a smaller scale. So, baseball, the base paths are further apart. The walls are farther out. But our stuff is smaller, but it makes our game, I think it makes softball a more interesting game to watch because it's a lot faster than baseball. Honestly, even me growing up watching baseball, playing softball, I can't, unless it's the playoffs, I hardly ever sit down and watch a baseball game from 1 to 9. I can't just sit on the couch unless it's the Cardinals and we are in playoff season. I hardly ever can just sit there and watch a game at home. But a softball game I can watch because it's just a lot more going on. It's a lot more competitive to me. It's a huge difference. So some people think that softball's boring, and it's really not. I think it's more interesting than baseball most of the time.
A couple things, I guess, with like how everyone says like baseball's boring and slow. I think I just said this to my husband, Annie. I don't want to hear it. After
I was about to say everybody doesn't say that, Jobo.
Well, no, listen. So I would literally just told my husband this. You know how everyone loved the World Baseball Classic a couple years ago? It was fun, exciting, loud. Different cultures. I feel like softball is a good example of that because it's constant yelling. Like I was never one of those players that was like doing the cheers and this and that. Not very girly, so that wasn't really my thing, but I get in on some cheers, this and that. But it's loud, the entire game. Like we were watching last weekend, I think it was. It's the dads wearing funny hats with crazy hair come on it, screaming, yelling. And that's kind of like what people want baseball to be like. And then for like competition wise, it is crazy. Like people would say that it's easy because the base paths are smaller, but I feel like it makes it almost harder because you know how fast you got to get the ball out of your hand?
Yeah.
Like it's insane just to watch half the time. I feel like, especially for slappers, Bunny, you put the bat on the ball, you're safe. Yeah. I feel like that's just how it is.
Yeah, you got to be a lot more reactive. And then, like I said, the pitching, even though it's underhand and they're only 43 feet away. So 43 feet and somebody's throwing 60, 65 is just as comparable to a baseball player throwing 90, 95. So it's...
Shoot, nowadays you got some of these girls hitting 70 here and there.
Yeah, you do got girls hitting 70,
which
right.
I think the most I've seen was like 62.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
70. We had a girl on our team. She was hitting close to 70.
Yeah, and then like I said, there's rise balls, drop balls, screw balls, like just obviously if you watch a baseball, the thing moves so much, it's you can't blink. But softball, I mean, it's crazy. Imagine going up there and a ball going up right at your head.
Yep.
Yeah. And before it looks like it's at your head and it's pretty much at the backstop by the time you're done swinging.
Or it looks like it's at your waist, and by the time you swing at it, it's at your head because that's
Yeah.
how fast it moved. Yeah.
Yep. I
It
do
makes
think
you
it's
feel good.
crazy. Softball, there'll be like 130 pitches, and then they'll pitch the next day. I think it's mind blowing that the softball fast pitch motion is considered
Natural.
normal and natural compared to an arm just moving forward. That's crazy to me.
Yep. Yep, it's a natural motion of the arm. Sure is.
All right. I had a spin-off statement to make you feel better. At our family reunions, we do play softball. We, meaning my uncles, my daddy, and they love it. And of course, last time we played, I forgot what reunion it was, and they slaughtered us. It was old school versus new school. And the old school slaughtered us in new school. So they like playing softball. They don't look like it's lower or this is too easy. No, they like the competition. So lastly, Miss SJ, but it's actually for the whole panel. So I was thinking about this. I was like, man, JoBo loves her baseball so much, and she's going through it right now. I feel sorry for her with this lockout. Before I get there, JoBo, you and that, I'm jealous because I'm still breastfeeding, so I'm not drinking yet. But I'm a bit there eventually. I'm sorry. Before
Pump and dump.
Before I read this last comment, she just took it to the head too, like a G. Miss Williams wanted to know: do softball batters have caps with protective flaps like baseball batters do?
Their helmets, yes. So their helmets it still covers the ears. I will say that now for the kids, it's mandatory. They have to wear face masks. I wore one growing up, and then I ended up taking it off like my junior and senior in college. But I do believe now that not only, you have your ears covered, but they also require that the kids wear face masks up to bat, just because it can do some damage. And actually, one of the girls that I went to Carbondale with, that actually I graduated with, when we were at home for the summer playing women's ball, she ended up getting hit like right in the eye by a pitch, and it didn't break it, but it definitely left it left a nice, it was bad. She went down quick.
Was it like a 60 to 70 mile per hour? Because Ms. Williams said that could definitely do some damage at that speed.
Yeah, and I just remember I was out in the field. I remember, and we were on different teams. So even though we played in college, we were on different teams when it came to the summer. And I just saw her do one of these, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, at that point, it's we're all college players. We're just playing summer for the fun at this point. And we all ran up to her, and it didn't break anything, but she had a nice big black eye for a while. So,
wow.
Yep.
A lot of makeup to cover that up, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, you guys are
Don't wear makeup playing softball. I will say
there's
a lot of the
makeup.
Yeah, a lot of the girls I played with, it's fancy bows in their hairs, all the make. I was just a catcher. I was sweating like crazy, towels on me during, in between innings. You don't look pretty when you're catching.
I know. I'm with you, Joe. I'm with you, Joe. I didn't wear makeup either. They're all putting on makeup, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
I wore makeup to play football.
The only makeup I would use is eye black, and that's it.
So when you wear makeup playing football, when you perspire, wouldn't it run down between, I don't know, foundation?
Okay, first of all, you assume I wear cheap makeup. This ain't drugstore over here, okay? So,
hey, I don't know. I don't wear it like that. So, okay. I mean, eventually, like, okay, did you wear eyeliner? You know what? That doesn't even matter. You said it stayed on. You look cute.
I didn't wear eyeliner.
You didn't have at it, honey.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate on it at all. I'm glad you look beautiful. I seen some basketball players throw lipstick on. Y'all like it? I love it. Just go out there, play your game, and do you, right? Last but not least, so again, going back to Joe, going through it with this whole MLB lockout, and she's really taking her drinks to the head, but I'm not mad. I'm there in solidarity with you, honey. Okay. So my question is, what will happen this time next year? So this is March 2nd. March 2nd of next year, will we have spring training games going on since this agreement should be eventually finalized? Or do you think they're going to have some miraculous thing where the agreement says no, you got to wait till April to have spring training or something. And not just with baseball though, anything. Let's talk about this time next year. What will happen? Will there be, I don't know, new sports team, a new league, a new something?
Well, I'm gonna stick to baseball. Yes, I do think spring training will be here this time next year, like it usually is. What I think is gonna happen is obviously, like the players are saying they're ready to fight and this and that, but the owners are gonna win because that's just how it goes. And the players are gonna have to cave, and I think most things will go back to normal, quote unquote normal, for the next 4 to 5 years, starting next year, and we'll have a full 162.
Okay. I can say what will happen this time next year. I won't see any people in the stands with masks on, no matter what sport you're talking about.
Okay.
This time next year, I won't see that. I don't believe so. I'm not saying that they won't not allow it. I just don't think I'll see any fans with masks on.
There'll still be those paranoid fans out there. They're just gonna wear it.
If they're not gonna take up the screen time, it's gonna be so few that it's not, like you won't even realize that they had a mask on. I don't see anybody have a mask on this time next year. In general. What about you, Miss SJ?
Oh, I do agree. I do think, or I'm hoping that the masks are gone. I was literally just talking about the spring training with my dad today because he was supposed to go to Jupiter next week for games, so they aren't going, obviously. So we were talking about, if they're going to try to shorten the season period, like just maybe kind of get rid of spring training, because do they really need spring training? Are they making money off spring training, or are they going to just have them go down, get warmed up and then come back? So I don't know. I think that's kind of up in the air. That might not happen. I don't know.
Technically, I do think your father should still be able to go down there and watch people like Matthew Levator and Nolan Gorman and Juan Yepes, our kids that are coming up, because they start spring training here soon, and that should be something. I do want to start going to some minor league games, especially if we don't have baseball for a little bit. I mean, Memphis isn't that far away, so that'd be fun to see.
Yeah, I think they had tickets to actual game next Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday.
I guess they got reimbursed.
Yeah, they're supposed to get their money back. They're supposed to go to a Cardinal spring training game, and then I think Minnesota is in Fort Myers.
Okay.
And they're supposed to go to a Minnesota game in Fort Myers. They're supposed to go see two teams.
Before we get to Annie, are they like second team's Minnesota Twins, or is that just random?
No, it's just on his bucket list to go to spring training. And since they were going down there, and I think it's like maybe an hour and a half apart, they figured they just knock out both in the same trip.
Yeah.
I mean, for him, baseball is baseball. He just likes to watch baseball. He doesn't really care who it is, honestly.
That's what we've been watching: college softball, college baseball. At this very moment, I'm too sad to watch past games that made me happy and feel good. So maybe if we get closer to spring training, I'll start watching some like 2011 highlights or something.
Well, the Blues will make you happy. They're still doing good. So
yeah, I think they just lost in overtime or something though. So
we're gonna make the playoffs. So that makes you feel better.
What about you, Annie?
This time next year, the Pirates will be getting ready to.
Girl, stop. All right, let's end the show.
The pennant on their campaign to win back-to-back national titles in the MLB.
I'm so done with you tonight.
Look, she must have been sipping off your bottle, Joe. Shoot, what's really going on?
Oh, Annie.
Yeah.
You're so
funny. Look, now you talk about me getting on her with the Cowboys, but you get on her with those Pirates. That's funny.
Okay, well, like the Cowboys, like at least made the playoffs this year. The Pirates, that's not going to happen for a while, and it's just. But she's loyal. That's all I got to say.
It's going to happen the next time we play. What you talking about? They about to let 30 teams into the playoffs.
Next lifetime, not this one. Got it.
You said 30 teams into the playoffs.
30 teams into the playoffs, and then we got a chance.
Probably. Yeah. It wouldn't put it past Manfred.
Y'all are funny, especially Annie in this wishful thinking. Okay, let's just say okay, hon. Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you what I know.
Know what you think, not what you know. It's a difference, honey. Miss SJ, it has been a blast having you on here again. Besides Jobo, you're the second softball player I've met. So,
Oh, thank you guys for having me. It was fun.
oh
Yeah, I had
no,
a
thank you
blast
for
getting
coming
to talk to
on.
someone about softball finally. Thank you, Fred. Thank you.
Yeah, you redeemed Joe because earlier she was sick of Eddie and I, but you know it happened. So look, this is good TV, good YouTube, good Facebook, good Instagram, all Platform Sports Talk Show. I'm plugging us in on all that. Platform Sports Talk Show. Everyone that's
Don't forget that
listening,
Roku.
watching, please tune in, subscribe, click on the bell for YouTube, Twitter. We also have our saved shows on the Roku channel. And once again, this has been a fun ladies' night. Shout out again to the start of Women's History Month. We have some trailblazers right here on this panel. If you didn't know, now you know. And next week, we'll be back to the regular weekly show. But don't forget, the last Wednesday of the month, starting in March, we have the Man Cave. The fellas are bringing it. Different topics, different subjects, different people. But hey,
Featuring my handsome husband.
I'll let you plug in hubby.
Yeah, my handsome hubby. Yeah, Brendan. He's there in the Under Armour. He's cute. I know. Continue.
The non-athlete though, right? He's a non-athlete.
He's all right. We'll continue.
Okay. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been
I
a
would recognize
pleasure.
him before Bryce Harper.
What about Bryce Harper?
I said I would recognize Jobo's husband in public before I recognize Bryce Harper.
Everyone always says, I think Fred's even said that he kind of has that Baker Mayfield look going on. So
Okay.
I ain't mad about that. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, it has been fun, ladies, and everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you all next week, and until then, have a amazing night and an amazing week. And we
Thanks,
are out
guys.
this.